Hi guys, how are you guys doing? I don't know how you're feeling right now, but I tell you, I'm sure that you've had several impactful sessions. I've seen the workouts. You guys are doing amazing stuff, you know. And I know that this retreat that you're in is actually going to be beneficial for you entirely, especially in the future. Yes, you're becoming a man that would be eventually successful. And big shout out to my brother Shay Daniels, incredible work. He is doing. I know that I saw the bro code, something that post like that. Let me see. It's been some years really since he got into the UK, and I know that this perhaps, I'm not sure, it's the first edition for people your age, but it's just incredible the work he's doing. I'm super proud of all that he's doing and what he's also doing with his wife right there in the UK. So great work. So let me dive right into it because I don't have much time to spend with you. Two things I would really want to share with you about your mind and how the mind works, and how that you're able to maximize the way the mind works to be able to become a master of yourself. Two things. Basic, it's going to be scientific, but I want you to open your mind to it. I promise I'm not going to be too deep into the sciences of it. But first would be the brain. The human brain is it's such a complex organ. It's probably one of the most complex in the world. And the maturation of the brain, about 90% of the brain is matured before you're 6. Right, so I could bet nobody is 6 here. Everyone's above 6, but there are still some critical parts of your brain that are still maturing, they're yet to be fully matured. One of them is the prefrontal cortex. The prefrontal cortex is that frontal. When I say frontal, it means in front, frontal part of your brain. So this part of the brain, inside the brain, in the cortex, is going to be fully matured at the age of 25. Now, what does it do? What are the functions of that part of the brain? The prefrontal cortex is involved in your self-management, your judgment, risk assessment, and risk taking. Critical items that helps you to manage your life and manage yourself is one of the things that your frontal cortex is involved with. And guess what? Before you're 25, you were able to take a lot of risks. The moment you're over 25, your risk appetite drops significantly now, right? Because that part of the brain is now fully matured. You are now as fearful in terms of taking risk as anybody can be, right? So that tells you that you have a little bit of window. I don't know how old you are now, but you have a bit of window, possibly about 10 years, a decade, to be able to take as much risks as you can. Now, this risk, I'm going to tell you why you should take positive risks so that it actually makes you the man that you want to be when you're over 25. It would give you the advantage in terms of your risk appetite, in terms of the decisions that you're making, to be able to do the impossible, basically like walk on water. Let me give you an example before I dive into the second part of managing emotions. Right, so say for instance, when I was much younger, perhaps about your age, I was sharing just in fact this morning with my wife how when I was about 15, 16, I was a break dancer. I used to sing. I used to be like the Kirk Franklin with Michael Jackson all mixed together and Usher Raymond. I'm singing and dancing all on stage at the same time, all that. Yeah, I was like that. And I had the opportunity to go around churches to, do this thing, and around fellowships and amazing stages. I met a lot of celebrities in Nigeria as well doing that. And because I was able to do that before I was 25, it made me be able to appreciate and also take risks, take risks on myself to say, I believe I can climb that stage with over 1,000 people watching and I do something excellent. Now, today I get on stage to speak to people, thousands of people without, any fear or butterflies. Why? Because before I was 25, my prefrontal cortex was fully matured, I had explored the different things. I'd been embarrassed on the stage and I'd gone through all of that, and I could take risks, doing handstands on stage after practicing maybe just once or twice, imaginable stuff. And it could be even in starting a business. You can start a business at your teenage years and then, fail at it, do it again or do something else until you're able to master something. By the time you're 25, you already know how to take risks, and then you're in a place of advantage, compared to other people. All right, so now I want to talk to you about something else about your human brain and then tie everything together. Now, there's something called the ABCs of emotions. Now, while the cortex, manages your critical thinking and all of that, the centers of your brain that are involved in other things. For instance, the amygdala, there's an emotion center. That's the amygdala. It's right under or somewhere in your brain, under somewhere, right? So that's the emotion center. But the way it works, it stimulates the release of certain hormones, and these hormones are what go into your cortex and make you feel in a particular way and think in a particular way. So when people are sad, it's because there is a quantity beyond normal of some certain hormones that are secreted. When they are happy, they have this kind of hormones, whether it's serotonin, dopamine, those make you feel happy. Cortisol, a bit of adrenaline makes you feel fearful or sad and all of that, right? So it's all just, I don't want to bore you with the garbage, but interestingly, your amygdala sends signal to your cortex instructing on this is how we need to feel. But your cortex can also send signals, and I'm going to explain it now. When somebody just insults you or says something hurtful to you and you feel bad, the feeling that you have is not directly the responsibility of what the person did. Now, there's something called the ABCs of emotions, right? The A for activating event, B for belief, C for consequent emotion. This is how emotions are formed. When something happens, this guy insults you, says something very hurtful to you, that's an activating event. B, belief, meaning that you choose what to believe about what the person has said. And then there is a consequent emotion to what you believe. Meaning that if you choose an opposing belief against what the person has said, your consequent emotion will not be sad. Let me help you to understand this. A girl gets a breakup text. Now, we're all guys, we know how these things work. Or you got a breakup text from a girl. Now, if this girl is the best thing in your world, like she's the finest girl you've ever seen, every time she's catwalking towards you, the wind is always blowing her hair like in the movies, and her hair is always just bouncy, and then she's always on her heels, and it's just all like, oh my god. And then she's your girl, you feel like on top of the world, like, yeah, right? But imagine she sent you a text one day to say, I'm sorry, it's not you, it's me. I think we're done. What would happen? The first few moments you get the text, you're processing. You do not have any emotions at that time. Then immediately after a short period of time, you start to feel something. Now, if the girl was everything, was your world, she was rocking your world, she was the Cinderella to your shoes. I don't know why I said that. Oh my God, what a reference. All right, so whatever she was to you, you would start to think, what did I do? What didn't I do right? The brain is thinking, And those thoughts are coming per second. It's flickering everywhere in your brain, right? You're just wondering. And then you start to feel maybe she found somebody else better than me. Maybe I'm just not good enough for her. And then that feeling, that belief will now stimulate the feeling of sadness because you now feel short, you feel not enough. And that's not a feeling that the brain likes to feel, right? Should it happen that this girl was just nasty? She is just like, every time you're like, how did I find myself here? And then she sends you a message to say, oh, sorry, we're done. I don't think I'm interested any longer. Wouldn't you be like, oh, good riddance, like, bye, I'm glad. So same breakup, text, but different emotions. Why? Because of something you believed. You believed that this was good riddance. So you're like happy. Or you believe that this girl was rocking your world and she was everything. So you're sad. Now, activating events are almost not in our control. You can hardly control the things that just events that happen around you or in your life. You know, your parents upset you. You hardly can control some of those things, right? But what lies in your control is what you believe. And because you're young, you're able to take a lot of risks. And so you're able to create excuses for people. I'm saying the things that you can do to ensure that you live in a well-balanced, thriving mental health, living mentally well, it's just basically adjusting your belief system. Not the things that happen around you, whether you take a risk on yourself, take a risk on what God says about you. Take a risk because you have a lot of risk appetite right now. So you can actually choose to believe something you read in the Bible, even though sometimes it can feel fictitious, like it's fiction, but when you take a risk on that, it adjusts your belief system that despite the activating events, your consequent emotion is always joy. That every time you believe something God says about you, that even though you're going through a difficult time, you believe the thing God says about you, your consequent emotion will always be joy. If you're going through a great time and you believe, oh, God is with me and it's just pampering me, your consequent emotion is joy. If you try to write an exam and it didn't go quite well, it didn't go like you wanted it to go, but you believe that God has got you, God has a plan for you, God is going to restore whatever you're losing, and whatever it is, consequent emotion is joy. So you can actually stay in a state of perpetual joy if you can regulate your belief system. And what my brother is doing with you now is helping you, giving you a lot of knowledge to help you to have something to believe that has a consequent emotion of joy, of happiness, of goodness. So here's my charge to you, that in your energetic, this is not your prime yet, but in your quite energetic years, now that you're still young, take a lot of risk on the truth, the light, the word of God, on the things, critical knowledge, wisdom from people like the resource people that you've had speak to you, over the course of this couple of days, and just take a risk on that, not on the impression that you're trying to make or the things that people have said concerning you, some bullies in your school, trying to make you feel less than them. You don't need to struggle with what people's perception of you, or do I think I'm cool, or do I think I'm slack, or whatever. No, just take a risk on the word of God, on the positive wisdom, on the wisdom being distilled to you right now in that retreat, and you realize that your consequent emotion will always be joy. So just like I always say, no matter what you do, light has come to you right now. Take action on this word and stay joyed up. Bye for now.